Today we are going to talk about biology. Actually, we are starting a series of lectures on biology, and these lectures are specially meant for those people who even do not have any basic lecture of biology, but if they have enough time and they give proper focus and concentration to these lectures, they can master that, right? We start our lecture series from cardiovascular system or circulatory system. And today the topic is an introduction to the heart and circulation. The topic is an introduction to the heart and circulation. For this lecture will be done in 3 parts. In part 1, I will give some very basic concept related with the circulatory system. In part 1, we will talk about very basic concept related with the circulatory system. Then we will talk about basic concepts about the heart, right? Basic concepts about the heart. And in third part, we will discuss in detail how the blood flows through the heart and circulatory system. Is that right? So let's start with the very basic, that circulatory system, it is present in larger animals, but it is not present in unicellular organism. For example, circulatory system is very well developed in mammals. Okay, we take example of a very beautiful mammal, human beings. Don't tell me they should be females. Some males are also handsome, right? So let's take that we are going to study cardiovascular system of mammals. Right now, in this series of lecture, we will take the example of human cardiovascular system. But the question is that why mammals or human beings need cardiovascular system or special transport system, and why unicellular organisms do not need? Let's compare it, that why unicellular organisms do not need any special type of transport system, and why the larger and more active animals, right, organisms like human beings, they need very special type of transport system or circulatory system. So we first of all answer this question. So let's suppose here is an organism which is unicellular. This is unicellular organism. This is just single cell, protozoan, okay, or we just take it, we can make it a little elongated, and let's suppose it is paramecium, right? So it is just a unicellular organism. Opposite to that, here we put a multicellular organism. Here we put a multicellular organism, an organism which has many cells. Okay, human beings, how many cells you have in your body? Who is going to tell me how many cells you have? Yes. Trillions. Yes. Trillions. You have trillions of cells? Yes, we have trillions of cells. We have trillions of cells. Human beings, they are not, of course, unicellular organisms. They are multicellular organisms. They are highly evolved and very complex organisms, and they consist of trillions of cells. They consist of trillions of cells. But in this simple example, for conceptual purpose, I'm just showing there is one organism which is unicellular, and there is another organism, let's suppose this one, which is multicellular. It has many cells. Now, here we will discuss that why this organism will need special type of transport system, right? And why the simple organism does not need any special transport system. Answer is very simple. You know, organisms, they need nutrition, right? They need fuel, they need nutrition, and they produce waste products. For this purpose, to get the nutrition, to acquire the nutrition from the environment, and to release the waste products into environment. So all the time there are exchanges going on between the organism and the environment, right? Organisms need nutrition. Let's suppose we talk about this unicellular organism. If it needs oxygen, now look at it. This is the environment surrounding it, right? Let's suppose that this environment which is surrounding unicellular organism, this is having all the required nutrients. Suppose glucose is there, or amino acids are there, or even oxygen is there, right? So all nutrients are there. They are needed in the cell. Here, there is a large surface area, and from all the sides, nutrients can enter. You get it? This is, if you talk about unicellular organism, and we talk about surface area which is exposed to the environment, that is very large surface area as compared to its volume, right? We can say that surface area volume ratio is very high in unicellular organism. So all this membrane, right, or this surface might be acting as an exchange surface. All the surface might be acting as exchange surface. So it means that it has a lot of surface from where it can get glucose or amino acids or other nutrients, even oxygen. And whatever waste product it is producing, it can release through its membrane into environment, right? So in this way, in unicellular organism, as compared to the volume, there is a very big exchange surface. So there is no need of any special mechanisms. Simply their surface membrane is able to acquire the nutrients and from the environment and dispose the metabolic waste into environment. Now let's come to this organism. It is a multicellular organism. I'm just showing some of the cell of a multicellular organism. Now, if you look at this situation, let's suppose here is environment, and if we say by simple diffusion, like unicellular, if they have to get the nutrients and dispose of the metabolic waste, they will be in a big trouble. Why? The reason being that large membrane in unicellular organism and very little distance to travel, right? Diffusion can be very efficient transport mechanism. Diffusion across the membrane can be very efficient mechanism, right? But when we come to the multicellular organism, okay, if we come to the multicellular organism, those cells which are present on the surface, right, they have part of their membrane which is exposed to the environment. Let's suppose this part of the membrane is efficiently working for exchanges. But the real trouble will be about these cells. Let's suppose this is one cell which is very deep. This is another cell which is deep inside this multicellular organism. Now these two cells which are very deep, their surface is not exposed to the environment. So their surface cannot directly get involved into exchange mechanism, right? These deep cells, right, they cannot get the nutrients directly from the environment, and they cannot dispose of their metabolic waste directly into environment. So it means as cells, as organisms become larger and complex, and they become from unicellular to multicellular, and when they are becoming multicellular, they may become millions of cells, or some organisms are billionaire. They have billions of the cells. And like human being, you know, you have trillions of cells, it means you are trillionaire as far as cells are concerned. Yes, be happy for a while, you are trillionaire, right? That you have trillions of the cells. So in such complex situation, most of the cells are deeply buried in the body, and they are unable to get exchanges with the environment directly. They cannot take the nutrition directly from the environment. They cannot release the metabolic waste into environment, right? For this, and simple diffusion is not efficient enough, or simple diffusion is not sufficient or efficient enough to provide the nutrients and remove the metabolic waste from deeper cells. For such situations, we need some very special transport mechanism which should take the nutrients and needed substances from the environment into deeper cells. and we should have transport mechanism. Also, we should take the metabolic waste from deeper cells and bring it to the surface. Is that clear? Yes. Now, let's hypothetically make a transport system. Let's hypothetically make a transport system, right? We make a big organism. Let's suppose I'm going to make a very big organism. It has trillions of the cells. Out of those trillions of the cells, some of the cells I draw here. But you just imagine that this is a very big organism. Let's suppose this is very big organism, right? It has a lot of cells, billions and billions of cells. And we already said that when organisms are becoming larger, right, surface area of surface cells can get exchanged, but this cannot get efficiently exchange mechanism. So we say surface area to volume ratio decreases. That surface area which is available for exchanges with the environment in multicellular organism, right? What happens? Surface area become less, but volume become more, because the volume of the cells which are inside their surface area, their surfaces are not contributing to the exchange surfaces. The surfaces are not contributing to the exchange surfaces. Am I clear? Now, in this situation, there are two troubles when organisms become multicellular and complex like human beings. Not only cells number increases, even, for example, mammals, they are mobile. Most of them are mobile. For their nutrition, they have to move about. They have to contract their muscles. And to move the muscles, their nervous system is also at work. And it requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of energy. So as compared to unicellular organisms, complex, large, very active, multicellular organism, metabolic needs are very high. They need a lot of nutrition and they need it rapidly into deeper cells. Not only the amount of nutrients required by large, multicellular, highly active organism is, not only amount of the nutrient is very high, they also need it very rapidly. And they also produce too much metabolic waste, and they need to be eliminated very rapidly. So it means there should be some mechanism in multicellular organism which should bring the oxygen from the environment or other nutrients from the environment into deeper tissues very efficiently and rapidly, and there should be some mechanism which should take metabolic waste and eliminate them very efficiently and rapidly. Let's see hypothetically how it can evolve. So I'm saying this is a very big organism. Okay. So this is having billions and billions of cells inside it. And there are deep cells where we cannot take the nutrition and cannot remove it. So how the system will evolve? For example, some group of the cells, look here, specialized organs will be formed with specialized membranes. For example, this is a mammal. Now, in this mammal, a special organ is, I'm showing a very special organ which is having special exchange membranes. And this is connected with the external environment. For example, this is respiratory system. Now, this respiratory system is taking in the oxygen, right, inside the system. But then, after this oxygen from here should go to many more other cells. We'll come to this problem, how to solve that. Then, multicellular organism may have one more system. Let's suppose this is a system, we call it This is very simple diagram. It is not anatomical diagram. This diagram is just to explain the basic concept, right? This is a system from where the nutrients are coming, alimentary system, right? Some of the nutrients are eventually lost as waste product. Now, this surface is exchange surface. From here, nutrients should come into system. From here, oxygen should come into system. Is that right? But the thing is that as cells are dispersed in so many areas, oxygen and nutrients needs to be transported to other cells. So for this purpose, a special system is evolved, number one. Number one, that there is a system of tubes. There is a system of tubes in mammals. We can call them vessels. There are system of tubes, and these systems of tubes, let's suppose this is a network of special tubes or vessels, right? And in this vessel, there is special type of fluid we call blood. We call blood. Now, actually this blood is supposed to transport gases and nutrients to the different cells. For example, there are cells here. This is a cell which needs nutrients. It is waiting for the nutrients, right? It is waiting for oxygen. These are deep, right? They might be here. Very sad, they are waiting for oxygen, they are waiting for glucose, they are waiting for amino acids and many other things. Now what will happen? This circulatory system, from here it is taking oxygen. And from here it is taking glucose and other nutrients. Now, these substances like gases and these nutrients, they should be dissolved or suspended in this fluid, the fluid which we call blood here. Now, let's suppose this is a mass of fluid. Okay, I will give it a different color. This is a mass of fluid, a mass of blood, right? It is all full of the blood, but I'm talking about this specific portion of the blood. Now, what is happening? This portion of the blood is taking oxygen, it is taking nutrients, right? And other substances which are needed by the body. Those substances are either dissolved or suspended, and now this should move. It means this mass of liquid or fluid should move in the tube, and of course it should circulate. It should move, and when it will move, let's suppose it reaches here. It has reached there. If it has reached there, then what will happen? Whatever oxygen it has taken from here, let's suppose, and glucose it has taken from here, this oxygen will go to the cells. In the same way, glucose will also go to the cells. Is that right? Because blood is bringing oxygen, blood is bringing glucose, and oxygen and glucose is in high concentration in the blood. When it is reaching to the peripheral cells, right, here, this part of the circulatory tube, this part of the circulatory tube is very near to the deeper cells. From here, substances can diffuse from the blood vessel. These are very thin-walled vessels like capillaries. So from the blood, this oxygen or glucose or amino acids, other substances will diffuse out in the fluid around these cells, and then whatever is required by the cells will take it. So it means that in this way, needed substances were transported in a system of tubes, but they were carried in a mass of fluid. When substances, listen now, when substances are dissolved or suspended in the mass of fluid, and they move about in what? Circulatory system, right? To transport these substances, right? We call it mass transport. We call it mass transport, right? And this liquid should be called mass transport fluid. This is called mass transport fluid, right? In humans it is, or in blood. Now, the question is that what will make this fluid to move about? What will force the system to move, to take up the things and supply to the peripheral cells, right? For that purpose, we have to push a pressure. We have to generate a pressure that under the pressure gradient, this liquid is circulated. For that pressure generation, we should have some organ which should act as a mechanical pump. Then we need a special type of organ which should act as mechanical pump. So let's suppose here is the mechanical pump, and this pump is producing a pressure in the system and circulating the fluid, right? Fluid is going into tube, taking oxygen, taking glucose, providing it to the peripheral cells, and from there it is taking metabolic waste like carbon dioxide gas, or suppose urea and other metabolic waste. So what will happen, that now this circulating blood, which is circulating in a system of tubes, right, where fluid or blood is made to move by the pressure generated by the heart or pump, right? What is happening, that this liquid is basically transporting the substances in between the cells and between the exchange surfaces. Here this is exchange surface for gases, here this is exchange surface for nutrients, right? And let me make one more exchange surface in another organ. Let's suppose there's one organ here. This is your kidney, and when it is passing through kidney, right, what it will do, that whatever waste product like urea or some electrolytes, whatever is not required, right, it might go into through the kidney and it get excreted. It means kidneys also having exchange surfaces, exchange membranes. Lungs are also having exchange membranes. Alimentary system, gastrointestinal system also has exchange membranes. Is that right? The urea which was produced from here, urea, let's suppose, as a what? Metabolic waste, will be eventually going out through the system. Or carbon dioxide which is being produced, it will be taken and eventually it will go through the lungs. This carbon dioxide will go out, right? So what we have seen, now whole this setup, this fluid, mass transporter fluid, the system of tubes and pressure generating pump, all of this is called special transport system, cardiovascular system. Cardio means heart, the pump, vascular system or specialized transport system, right? And this specialized transport system, what components it has? Number one, yes, it should have that liquid mass transporter, right? Mass transport medium which can dissolve or suspend the nutrients and metabolic waste and take them at different places, right? And that should be called, yes, what is this? Mass transport medium. In case of humans, we call it blood. So you are having blood there. But just having blood is not enough. Blood should be in some system of tubes, and those tubes should be present in almost every organ, so that blood should transport nutrients everywhere and remove the metabolic waste from everywhere, right? So number one, this transport system should have blood. Number two, this transport system should have, yes, interconnected tubes. Interconnected tubes. Tubes mean, yes, vessels. What are these? Vessels, which we will later on discover that some of the tubes are arteries, some of the tubes are capillaries, and some of the tubes are called veins, right? So we need to have blood as a mass transporter, we need to have system of tubes, right? And then we should have this pressure generator. What is this? We need to have, number 3, pump, which should force the transport medium to move within the tubes. Pump. The pump is, of course, the heart, the beautiful heart, right? So these are the 3 components everyone remembers. If you ask an average student, he will say that cardiovascular system or special transport system in mammals must have, yes, liquid like blood, yes, number 1. Number 2, should have system of tubes like vessels, yes, and must have a pump like heart. And very good student know there should be one more thing there. Yes, who is going to tell me? Actually, there is one more thing. That thing is that blood should move in a specific direction. For example, if blood is moving in this direction, it should always move in this direction. It shouldn't happen that sometimes it is moving in this direction and other time it starts in reverse direction. It means the flow of the mass transporter, the flow pattern of the blood should be unidirectional. It should be unidirectional. To keep it unidirection, there are special type of structures which we will discuss in detail later. They are called valves. They are called valves, which are present in the heart and also in the veins. Heart and especially heart and in the veins. So what we can say, I will just recap this part of the lecture rapidly. We were trying to answer that why multicellular large animals which are millionaire or billionaire or trillionaire as far as cells are concerned need very specialized transport mechanism, right? And why not the unicellular organism? Let's recap. Here I have a unicellular organism, right? Unicellular organism, for a given volume, all its surface area is exposed to the environment, and all that area can work as an exchange surface. So surface area which is working as exchanger, right? Surface area volume ratio is very high. Due to that reason, and because it's unicellular organism and it's surrounded by the environment, luckily which might be rich in nutrients. So nutrients can be exchanged, can be taken up by the surface membrane, and metabolic waste can be released through the surface membrane. And that simple diffusion or active transport or osmosis, some simple mechanisms are enough for their nutritional needs and for their metabolic waste elimination. But when we come to the multicellular organism, if we take like mammals, just for an example, or we take human beings, what is there? Billions of cells. Some cells are on the surface. Most of the cells are deep inside, and cells which are deep inside, their surfaces are not exposed to the environment, not available for exchanges directly with the environment. Is that right? So surface area which is available for exchange and the total volume of the organism cell, the ratio is in trouble. Surface area is by volume, ratio is very less. So simple diffusion of nutrients from the environment and simple elimination of waste product from the billions of cells which are working together as a complex organism into environment, that is not efficient. We need some very, very special, yes, first of all, we need very, very special and efficient exchange surfaces, exchange membranes, and we also need very special transport mechanism. Now I was saying exchange membranes can be like in human beings there are lungs. In the lungs what happens? That during inspiration and expiration gases are moving. So we are taking in oxygen and we are eliminating carbon dioxide, right? So deep surfaces of the lungs, right, they act as gaseous exchange surface. Fine. So from there we can put the oxygen. Let's suppose here is the lung. Secondly, we have gastrointestinal system, the food pipe system. The nutrients are going into gastrointestinal system or alimentary system, right? They have a surface from where, specialized surface, we can absorb or take up nutrients from the lumen of gastrointestinal system. Nutrients can move into the body. From here oxygen is moving, from here amino acids, glucose and other nutrients are moving. But the question is that there are many cells which are far away from lungs or far away from gastrointestinal system. So just bringing substances here, oxygen, and here glucose is not enough. Someone has to take these substances and transport them into very far off areas in the body. For that purpose, there is specialized transport system developed. We call it cardiovascular system, or we call it heart and circulation system. What is this system? In this system, basic requirements are: number one, there should be mass transporting medium. Mass transport medium. Usually it should be water based. Yes, it must be water based, because like blood, which has a lot of water, because if it is water based, substances can be easily dissolved or suspended into it, and it is easier to move to. It is easier to move also. So water based substance which is present in our body as a mass transporter, that is blood. But blood should be present in specialized tubular system, in the tubes, in the vessels. So what happens? This blood and vessels, they should be in very intimate relationship with this gas exchange areas. They should be in very, blood and these vessels, they should be again in very intimate relationship with this exchange surface to take up the nutrients. And again, blood and vessels, yes, they should be in very intimate relationship with those organs which will eliminate the waste products like kidneys. Is that right? So multicellular organism develops specialized exchange membrane, specialized exchange membranes present in specific organs like lungs, alimentary system and kidneys, right? And then they developed, yes, cardiovascular system which will transport the substance throughout. As I mentioned, number one requirement is there should be mass transport medium like blood. Number two, there should be container of this blood, yes, tubes, vessels, there should be vessels, right? And number three, there should be pump, because this fluid will not move automatically, it has to be pressurized and pushed. So it will keep on moving and then it will come back and then again it will be moving. So this pumping mechanism is heart. And then direction of flow of this transporter should be unidirectional in a specific direction. So there must be valve so that it does not reverses, it only moves forward. Is that right? So we say cardiovascular system which is present in the mammals. Let's suppose we take example of human beings. It has 4 components. How many components? Number 1, there is blood. Number 2, there are vessels. Number 3, there is heart. And number 4, there are valves. Is that clear? So this is why mammals or larger organisms need special transport mechanism because they have a lot of cells, many cells are very deep, and surface area to volume ratio is very less. So simple surface exchange of the nutrients and metabolic waste is not sufficient, and moreover such organisms are very active, right? They are using their muscles. If we are talking about mammals, they are also using their brains. Most of them do have, right? So due to that reason, metabolic waste, not only nutritional needs are too high, metabolic waste are also in huge amount. So they need some very efficient transport mechanisms. Any question up to this? So now up to this, we have learned only that why cardiovascular system is present in the mammals and what cardiovascular system components are there. Here I want to mention one more thing, that is about that cardiovascular system. Okay, let's have a break here.